Hey guys, Rika here, and today I bring you a preview of the Halloween Homestead decorations, Part 1. First up is the regular old pumpkin, which is going to require 2 refined homestead fibers, 5 piles of shimmering dust, and 50 karma. The Seance Candle is going to require 26 refined homestead fibers, 15 bones, and 20 pieces of candy corn. The Skewed Stairway left is going to require 32 refined homestead metals, 30 pieces of candy corn, and 8 venom sacks. The Mad Moon will require 31 refined homestead metals, 7 globs of ectoplasm, and 1 opal orb. The Primordial Leviathan ribcage will require 33 refined homestead fibers, 18 large bones, and 1 pile of putrid essence. The Skewed Stairway right will require 32 refined homestead metals, 30 pieces of candy corn, and 8 venom sacks. The Primordial Leviathan ribcage curved will require 30 refined homestead fibers, 20 large bones, and 1 pile of putrid essence. The Clock Tower's broken beam will require 27 refined homestead metals, 6 watchwork sprockets, and 1 destroyer fragment. The Ghostly Dining Table will require 29 refined homestead fibers, 8 globs of ectoplasm, and 50 pieces of candy corn. The Jack-o'-lantern will require 23 refined homestead fibers, 1 sugar pumpkin, and 6 pieces of candy corn. The flame-bearing gargoyle will require 30 refined homestead metals, 10 mithril ores, and 1 molten core. The Primordial Leviathan ribcage right curved will require 32 refined homestead fibers, 15 large bones, and 2 piles of putrid essence. The Clock Tower gear will require 28 refined homestead metals, 8 watchwork sprockets, and 10 charged titan ores. The hanging tree will require 33 refined homestead wood, 4 globs of ectoplasm, and 1 Crichton lumber core. The reaching twisted tree will require 31 refined homestead wood, 3 Mordrum cores, and 3 piles of vile essence. The decorated casket will require 32 refined homestead wood, 40 pieces of candy corn, and 10 bones. The haunted armchair will require 29 refined homestead wood, 75 pieces of candy corn, and 10 thick leather sections. The spider's web floor will require 30 refined homestead fibers, 15 silk scraps, and 20 pieces of candy corn. The ephemeral spider's web wall will require 30 refined homestead fibers, 15 silk scraps, and 20 pieces of candy corn. The Visage of Madness will require 25 refined homestead metals, 12 rotted titan ambers, and 10 globs of ectoplasm. The pumpkin lanterns will require 24 refined homestead fibers, 16 pieces of candy corn, and 3 molten slivers. The demon statue will require 26 refined homestead metals, 11 rotted titan ambers, and 8 vials of potent blood. The bundle of corn stalks will require 27 refined homestead fibers, 8 linen scraps, and 3 bandit crests. The ghostly dining chair will require 25 refined homestead fibers, 4 globs of ectoplasm, and 20 pieces of candy corn. The Primordial Leviathan ribcage left curved will require 32 refined homestead fibers, 15 large bones, and 2 piles of putrid essence. The spooky cauldron is going to require 35 refined homestead metals, 8 globs of ectoplasm, and 125 pieces of candy corn. The bat lanterns are going to require 24 refined homestead fibers, 15 pieces of candy corn, and 3 emerald shards. The Shattered Stairway is going to require 33 refined homestead metals, 25 pieces of candy corn, and 10 venom sacks. The Ephemeral Spider's web floor will require 30 refined homestead fibers, 15 silk scraps, and 20 pieces of candy corn. The Scarecrow will require 27 refined homestead wood, 24 jute scraps, and 24 pieces of candy corn. The Unchained Platform will require 30 refined homestead metals, 16 slivers of twitching forge metal, and 1 onyx core. The Mausoleum will require 34 refined homestead metals, 12 rotted titan ambers, and 7 ancient bones. The Thorny Jack-o'-lantern will require 28 refined homestead fibers, 1 Mordrum lodestone, and 30 pieces of candy corn. The Gargoyle will require 30 refined Homestead metals, 10 mithril ores, and 1 onyx core. The Gramophone will require 28 refined Homestead metals, 1 destroyer core, and 10 watchwork sprockets. The Spider's Web Wall will require 30 refined Homestead fibers, 15 silk scraps, and 20 pieces of candy corn. The Haunted Love Seat will require 32 refined Homestead wood, 90 pieces of candy corn, and 13 thick leather sections. The Creepy Jack-o'-lantern is going to require 27 refined Homestead fibers, 1 sugar pumpkin, and 10 pieces of candy corn. The Grand Clock Tower gear is going to require 31 refined Homestead metals, 10 watchwork sprockets, and 13 charged Titan ores. And the Writhing Twisted Tree will require 31 refined Homestead wood, 3 Mordrum cores, and 3 piles of Vile Essence. As always, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for part 2.